Right now, people keep asking one wild question about Kris Jenner. Did she mastermind a billion-dollar empire through sharp business moves? Or were family connections part of the climb? Now, with talk around the Epstein files, some believe there could be clues hiding in plain sight.
Many celebrities had visited Epstein Island who were friends of Epstein and Maxwell. Kris Jenner and the Kardashian sisters were also there. Kris was a close friend of Maxwell.
One family completely changed the playbook of modern fame. Kris Jenner built one of the strongest entertainment empires Hollywood has ever seen.
Good American on the outside. I've got Skims on the inside.
Wait, say that again?
I'm drinking 818 like crazy.
And she did it in a style nobody expected. She turned her own children into worldwide brands, locked in deals that even major studios struggled to match, and placed her family in elite rooms most people chase for decades just to enter. Kim Kardashian went from being a stylist and standing beside someone else's spotlight to becoming a billionaire with businesses in beauty, fashion, and media. That rise happened fast, and the scale of it was massive. The kind of access that came with it had the whole entertainment world asking the same thing. How did they move up so quickly? Who helped open those doors? What does it really take to move through Hollywood's highest circles the way this family did? Those questions never truly disappeared. And now, with major investigations back in headlines and powerful names showing up again in public documents, people are asking louder than ever before. Welcome to Fame Thunder. If you are new here, we drop a new video every single day breaking down the stories behind fame, power, and how the machine really works. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment below. It genuinely helps us grow and allows us to keep making content like this every day. Now let us get into it. Let us start by talking about Joe Rogan because this part of the story is important to get right. And there has been a lot of confusion floating around online about what his actual connection to the Epstein story really is.
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would ever went.
But
especially after I Googled him. I was like, what are you talking about? This was like 2017.
Rogan's name has circulated online in connection with the Epstein story, but the actual documented facts tell a very different story from what the wildest rumors tried to suggest. Back in 2017, a physicist named Lawrence Krauss, who had previously appeared as a guest on Rogan's podcast, reportedly attempted to arrange a connection between Rogan and Jeffrey Epstein.
One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, are you high? Like, what are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was like sucking up to the rich and powerful, if I was really interested in hanging out with rich and powerful people.
This is a key detail worth sitting with for a moment. This was not 2005 or 2006 when Epstein's crimes were still hidden from the public. This was 2017, years after Epstein's 2008 conviction, when serious concerns about him were already widely known and publicly documented. Krauss still tried to make the introduction anyway, according to widely reported accounts. Rogan's reported response was immediate, sharp, and left no room for confusion. He essentially said, "Are you serious right now?" And then followed it up with another stunned reaction expressing disbelief at the suggestion. That was the end of the conversation. No meeting happened, no connection was formed, just a hard and immediate stop that shut the whole thing down before it ever got started. Now compare that with what has been reported about other high-profile figures connected to the Epstein story. Some billionaires were reported in major news outlets to have continued meeting with Epstein after his 2008 conviction, when the public already knew what kind of person he was. Other prominent figures reportedly appeared dozens or even hundreds of times across released documents, according to ongoing news coverage. Those details made people stop and pay attention. Meanwhile, Rogan reportedly said no immediately and clearly. He appears to have recognized the warning signs before a lot of other people were even paying attention to them. That background matters a great deal when you look at Rogan's recent public commentary on the handling of the Epstein investigation. On his podcast, he questioned the government's approach directly and forcefully. His central point was something a lot of people had already been thinking but had not heard, said so plainly. Officials including Pam Bondi and Kash Patel had made very public and very loud demands for the release of the Epstein client list before they joined the Trump administration. These were not quiet suggestions made in private. These were repeated, emphatic, on-camera demands, clips of which are easy to find online right now. Then all three of those individuals joined the administration, and the public story shifted dramatically.
We've reviewed all the information and the American public is going to get as much as we can release. He killed himself. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on?
No client list release, no significant video disclosures, no major new revelations. And the public was essentially told the matter was closed. Rogan called that shift gaslighting. He used that specific word. And what made that moment land differently for a lot of people is that this was not coming from someone with an obvious political axe to grind. Rogan endorsed Donald Trump in the 2024 election. So when he turns around and says the people around that administration are gaslighting the public on the Epstein files, it does not read as a partisan attack. It reads as a straightforward observation from someone who supported the broader political project, but still expects basic honesty about a major ongoing public concern. His question was simple and direct. Before joining the administration, Pam Bondi publicly claimed in multiple interviews that there were thousands of hours of recorded footage tied to the Epstein case showing powerful people in deeply compromising situations. Those were her words in her own public statements, on camera before she took office. And then the story changed completely once she was in the position to actually do something about it.
The FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that.
Rogan pointed directly at that gap and asked the obvious question, why did the story change? That question does not require a conspiracy theory to take seriously. It requires only basic accountability. When public officials make specific documented promises about transparency and then reverse course after taking office, the people they represent deserve an explanation. That is not a fringe position. That is a standard expectation of democratic governance that journalists, legal scholars, and watchdog organizations across the political spectrum have consistently upheld. Rogan also pointed to something that a lot of careful observers had already noticed. The released footage had details missing. The official account of what existed and what was found seemed to shift over time.
But the problem is there's been like 15 years of people coming in and creating fictions about this that doesn't exist. Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you if it existed? I'm working my ass off along with the leadership at the Bureau and DOJ to get you what we're allowed to give you.
And he pushed back hard on the idea that the public should simply accept these shifting narratives without questions. His reaction was essentially, do you think people are not paying attention? Do you think nobody noticed what was said before? That moment resonated widely and spread across social media, racking up millions of views in a short period of time. Not because it was sensational, but because it articulated a frustration that a lot of people were already feeling and had not quite found the words for.
I want to start by saying it's not how Jeffrey died, but it's how he lived. And we need to get to the bottom of everybody who was involved with that, starting with Ghislaine Maxwell and going along the lines there.
Then Rogan got to what he described as the bigger picture behind all of this. His broader point, stated clearly and without much hedging, is that at the highest levels of power, major systems are often shaped by money and influence in ways the public never fully sees. He suggested that whatever kind of leverage network may have existed around figures like Epstein could have newer versions operating in different forms today. By that, he meant setups where powerful people are given access to things they should never be involved with. And that access later becomes a tool for controlling their behavior, their silence, or their decisions. That kind of pressure dynamic, if it exists in any form, would go a long way toward explaining why so many high-profile stories suddenly go quiet right when they seem to be building toward something. And that brings us back to the question that opened this video. Because when people talk about the Kardashian empire and how it was built, they are really asking a version of the same question Rogan is asking about the political world. How does access work at the highest levels? Who controls the doors? And what does it cost to walk through them? To be completely clear, there is no documented connection between the Kardashian family and any of the criminal conduct tied to the Epstein case. None. What does exist is a broader public conversation about how elite access functions in the entertainment industry, and the Kardashian rise is one of the most studied examples of that access playing out at the highest level. Kris Jenner did not just manage talent, she built a system. She understood how proximity to powerful people creates opportunity, how media attention can be converted into business leverage, and how the right relationships at the right moment can accelerate a career in ways that talent alone never could. That is not a scandal. That is a masterclass in how modern fame actually works, but it is also exactly the kind of mechanism that people are examining more closely right now, as more becomes known about how circles in Hollywood and beyond have historically operated. The question the public keeps returning to is structural. It is not really about any one family or any one celebrity. It is about a system where access to power is distributed in ways that are rarely visible from the outside. It is about why some people move through those systems with remarkable speed, while others with equal or greater talent never get the same opportunities. And it is about whether the people and institutions responsible for oversight are actually doing their jobs, or whether they have become part of the same network they are supposed to be watching. The Epstein case sits at one extreme end of that spectrum. It involved documented, proven crimes against minors. It involved a network of powerful and well-connected people who, at minimum, failed to act on what they knew or suspected. And it involved serious, still unanswered questions about how someone with Epstein's profile was able to operate for as long as he did with as few consequences as he faced. Those questions are legitimate. They deserve serious, thorough, honest answers from serious institutions. When documents connected to the case are released and names appear in those records, context is essential. Names can appear in legal documents for many different reasons. Being mentioned in a document does not automatically indicate wrongdoing. Being present at an event or in a social circle does not by itself constitute evidence of any crime. These distinctions matter enormously and should never be collapsed in the interest of generating more dramatic content. The broader pattern that researchers and journalists have documented around elite networks of influence suggests that the mechanisms Rogan is describing are not unique to any one political party or any one industry. They appear across finance, entertainment, technology, and government in different forms and with different levels of severity. The most extreme version involves the kind of criminal exploitation that Epstein's case revealed. But the less extreme versions, involving strategic access, selective information sharing, and the use of relationships to insulate certain people from scrutiny, are documented across a wide range of institutional settings. Understanding that spectrum clearly rather than collapsing everything into one dramatic narrative is actually what makes the public conversation more useful rather than less. The goal is not to suggest that every famous person with a powerful network is involved in criminal behavior. The goal is to ask honest questions about how power concentrates, how it protects itself, and what the public interest requires in terms of transparency and accountability. The Epstein case forced a reckoning with just how far that protection can extend. It showed that someone with the right connections and enough money could operate for years with a level of impunity that would have been impossible for anyone without those advantages. The criminal justice system, the financial system, the social networks of the wealthy and powerful, and to some extent, the media landscape all played a role in allowing that to continue for as long as it did. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is what the documented record shows. And so when officials who built their public profiles around demanding accountability suddenly go quiet, the public is not wrong to notice. The public is not wrong to ask why. And credible voices who ask those questions clearly and directly, regardless of their political affiliation, deserve to be heard rather than dismissed. The questions about power, access, and accountability are not going away. They are getting louder, not quieter, with each document release, each contradictory statement, and each promise that turns out to have a shorter shelf life than the election cycle it was made in. And the story of how the most powerful empires in entertainment get built, whether we are talking about a family that became a global brand or a political network that promised transparency and then went silent, keeps pointing back to the same set of questions. Who controls the access? Who benefits from the silence? And who is paying attention when the story suddenly changes? That is the conversation. And it is not going away anytime soon. If this video made you think, drop a comment below and let us know where you stand on this. And if you are not subscribed to Fame Thunder yet, now is the time. We drop a new video every single day, and the next one goes even deeper. See you there.